Hey, what's up? Another summer heater compilation of albums, and I'm almost done with the series. Thank God. So now we're on to 2017, and 2017 was probably the beginning of me being in a rut as far as listening to the same music repeatedly. I just like music that I like, and for some reason I don't like changing it up. As you can tell here, 2016, I don't even know when those came out. It was like mid 2000, 2007. Anyway, repetition. Me listen to the same albums repeatedly. Although there were a couple 2017 summer projects that I frequented, it was not as many listens as some of these projects deserved. So I guess this is my condolences and grieving towards those albums of yesteryear. So starting off with my second most scrobbled album from that period of time, I didn't actually listen to Peeps Come On When You're Sober Part 1. I should call it a mixtape or EP rather than an album. I think I first listened to it uh, probably September-ish. I want to say maybe October-ish. It was. I listened to Ben Trunk before he died, but I don't think I gave most of the album a listen to before that event happened. Um, I really liked. Ben Trunk was pretty cool. Save That Shit was like the first song off the tape that. I mean, it's the second track, so this will make sense. But it's the second track or first track that I fell in love with. The beat drop when I first listened to it, it was crazy. It was orgasmic. I mean, it's kind of like you see the music video. And the music video is like him literally performing the song in front of an audience, a crowd. It's very atmospheric like that. It's like stadium rap. Um, you can just tell it's designed to like get you hyped at a concert. Fuck up a mosh pit, all that stuff. And it's just it's a banger. I don't know how else to put it. The lead in is great too. Awful Things. Tracy, he killed that. He killed the feature, the hook on that. And Pete, I loved his part on it. I feel like this take was just really like his best performance to that point of him doing that kind of like squeamish, nasally singing voice, but like making it, attractive for a whole project. Because I mean, he does it before, it's almost like moaning, like wailing. He does it before on Hellboy, I know at least, and that was like probably like his first like you consider like studio, like near studio project. But he cleaned up a little bit more here, and this is a great take for him to go out on. I thought it was like an 8 out of 10 at least. Project Baby 2, my most scrabbled joint from that year. You got like Kodak. It's kind of like it was reminiscent of like not like pen and pencils per se, but like it's that era of like covers because you got him like it's like a picture of him like photoshopped in, and then you got like the big spokes on the rims, 28s probably as Kodak would say, uh, the Chevy, and then you got like his kid like cut in. Then you got like the wire top J's. I think those are twos, but I can't really tell. Those may not be J's, but Nike's thrown up there. It's a real classic type of cover. It's a real southern type of thing. Versatile was one of my favorite tracks the whole year. He, for people that think Kodak like just can't like rap, stay to switch up topics, which I mean you gotta. I feel like Kodak is pretty respected at this point as an artist, but Versatile really like opened up my eyes to like I played Lil Big Pac pretty often before this project came out, but this track was like, man, this dude Kodak is legit in my opinion. So I love that. And then like Rolling Peace with X, that was of course a classic. I don't want to cover just the bangers off here, which is Transport and Rolling Peace, pretty much the main ones. But like No Codefendant, his flow in that was great. Um, My Click, that was like a posse cut. You know, Six Sense, the hook on that was nice. I really need to revisit some of like the other tracks because a lot of the in betweens, like Don't Wanna Breathe, I don't, I didn't really give enough burn to get a good taste on how. So then we go on to Kendrick Lamar's Damn. You know, in many people's eyes, it's a classic. In many people's eyes, it's the best rap album of that year. I don't know. I still don't know to this day how I really feel about the album as far as its perception, if it's deserving or not. I do know that it's good. It's definitely not bad. Anyone who tells you this album is bad, is just being willfully ignorant to the project. But art is subjective, I was saying. But pretty good. It's supposed to be an intro slash outro, depending on how you listen to the project. I thought it was a good cut lead in. DNA. The reason why I'm considering this a summer project is because I gave DNA a lot of burn initially. Then I started rotating in tracks like Element and Pride and some other. I gave Duckworth a little bit more listens to. Uh, and I just wanted to just I pretty much just revisited the album throughout the year, as you do with Kendrick albums. So TK, the tragic hero, who would be a good comparison to TK? The oh, I know. All right, it took me I, at least 5-6 minutes to get this metaphor down correct, but Aeneas from the Aeneid by Virgil. Um, I think that's probably a pretty fair comparison to TK. I wouldn't call TK a hero necessarily, but I do think he serves the role as being someone who kind of got, I don't know, dicked over by life. I don't know. Does TK even deserve the metaphor this game? I don't know. I feel like Aeneas is a pretty highly esteemed character. Anyway, back to his project. It's not even like much to speak about. If you listened to the race, not yeah, just the race alone, you pretty much know it's a classic. Once you look past the race, I suppose, and look at the rest of the project, you got Murder She Wrote. I love my chopper. I love my chopper, and I think she loved me. Let me say this: TK's hook game was probably the best in his class of artists. I mean, it was simple, but like it was just effective. His beat production, beat selection, I say, like really up tempo, like aggressive style, but not like drill or like I guess it's trap, but like it's not like that gritty trap. It's just it's fun almost. Like his music is like fun. It's murderous, but it's like fun. Uh, if you don't want to get smoked, you can go that way. You know, Saran Pack. The last three tracks don't really get enough love because I mean, look at what comes. The first three are like some of the like the memeiest tracks. Period. And then limit. 17 by Tentacion, his first album and one of two that he released in his lifetime. I guess studio album, I should say. Um, I feel like this is more. It's closer to the style that he came up with than Question Mark was. If you listen to Revenge, which is pretty, I guess, set into not the Stone Revenge, the EP Revenge. It was pretty much like a compilation of some of his biggest hits before he blew up, and then why he blew up, and then some of his first songs that he got initially out of prison. This is reminiscent of a couple of those tracks. Um, I think Depression and Obsession reminds me a lot of say like a Vice City or the Devil in Miami track. He just made a lot. Like he honed some of those sounds he had before and made them into more palpable hits. I should say. He made them into songs that could be easily assessed, played back fervently, and that that's like part of his what he brought to the table is that he could make deep music, or at least music that made you feel something, very short and concise and replayable. Um, fuck love. That's a that's a pretty big one. I feel. Was that the one with? That's the one with Trippy. I don't know why it has so little squabbles on Last FM, but that's one of the biggest. I think it's like the second or first biggest track on SoundCloud ever. Carry On. That's an underrated joint on there. I think Orlando was the one that came out after the gay club got shot up. Um, don't know. Like it's a pretty substantial song, but I'm not really sure why it made the project. Um, he did the same thing, I think, with Question Mark, where I think, well, no, Changes was supposed to be on the project. He had a couple tracks on there though that's like it didn't really fit towards the end of it, but Cozy Taste Volume 2. I feel like this is like a really disappointing follow up to the great Cozy Tapes Volume 1, which in my opinion was way more. It was streamlined. It wasn't really any filler. I could feel like. I feel like this joint right here had a couple too many tracks that just didn't really, do anything for me. Like when you go down to, I don't know, like you could pretty much start from Frat Rules, maybe First Year Being Rich, and then like Feels So Good. I don't really remember that. Cozy is like, who are these two people? ASAP 12E dropped a pretty good project in 2017, I believe, but I don't even know who the exact dude is. It's supposed to be like a New York posse cut, I guess. Uh, Black Card. It's kind of Rocky. He killed his verse, but I mean it's kind of like, please shut up. I feel like that's supposed to be like a big, you know, a pretty big song. When you look at this length, having Key and Gucci, I think it's supposed to be like one of the lead singles, I'd imagine. I don't think it really lived up to that. Maybe I'm hating on this more than it deserves, but like Get the Bag was pretty underwhelming. Bahamas was fantastic. Raph obviously was great. Skateboard, that was one of Keith's finest hooks in my opinion. Walk of Water was great too. It's not a bad project. It just isn't like I felt like um, Volume One was like as good as a posse cut as you could expect, like a good posse tape as you could expect. Just about. I mean, there weren't many. Like, I think in 2017, 2016, the idea of posses kind of died down, and that's probably like the last really good one that I've heard. More Life, I'm not really a big fan of More Life, but you'd be lying if you said there weren't tracks from off this that you could play in the summertime and it'd be perfect. KMT, great one. Teenage Fever, pretty solid one. I feel like I could have made it onto the album he just came out with, Scorpion, the second half of that. Sacrifice is one of my favorite tracks ever because Drake's verse is great. 2 Chainz' verse is pretty much just as good, and then Thugger's verse like blows everything else out the water. Girl Chaser, Gal Chester, pretty good flow by Drake. 4422, the Too Much sequel. I don't remember Drake doing too much on this. I feel like it's pretty much a Stanford track, as I remember correctly. Um, Georgia Interlude. That probably put a lot of people onto Georgia Smith that didn't know about it before. So that's I guess it's like that reminds me of like Bria Interlude, so maybe it's the sequel to that. And Passion Fruit, Patois Drake. You gotta love Patois Drake. And then No Long Talk. No Long Talk. It's really just for gigs. Gigs and I thought this was a Skeptilus, but gigs. So we got 444 surprise drop at the very end of June. I feel like there's probably some reason why they dropped it at that particular time, but I don't remember why. And it was fantastic. Arguably Jay-Z's best album post, his prime, I should say, early 2000s, late 90s. You got, he starts off just like you never heard Jay with the it's modern production. Like Kill Jay Z is a modern, dun kind of the Pharrell 4 beat wind up, and it's a great track. Already opening the discussion to the Kanye topic, and then the Future reference, which blew up the interwebs for a second, and then story of OJ talking about cooning and all that. It's really a perfect, like, I don't know if it's a perfect track listing, but like it's really hard to find anything wrong with it. Like Legacy is a fantastic send off. Even Bam, which is like one of the weaker tracks, it's like it's not really weak on its own. Like it doesn't really talk about much, but it's still good in my opinion. Following 444, he talks about the relationship breaking up and all that, and then Solange and all that, and then you get the Beyonce feature to kind of tie in that you can overcome anything and all that stuff. I don't mean to be too deep because it's a summer project, not supposed to be too deep, but this is one of the best lyrical albums that come out during the summertime, I feel like, ever. We'll come back to this. Love is Rage 2, another one of those August 18, August 2015 projects. Quite a few came out between those 2 weeks. I was a big fan of Love is Rage 1. I'm still the biggest fan of Love is Rage 2. There's a couple cuts that I can't act like I don't mess with. 444 plus 222, great. I don't even remember 2, but I feel like that's really the intro, in my opinion. It's like it starts off the project. I love it. Sauce it up, do too much. His hooks on here are pretty good. Like, Neon Guts was one of the more unique tracks to come out that year. Early 20 Rager. A lot of people say it fits the theme of being 20. I believe I was 18 when this album came out, so I couldn't relate, but I missed the idea. Pretty Mommy, when Pretty Mommy made on this, I thought that that Bag, because Pretty Mommy was a joint that came out before it was a leak, and they had Bag and they had Pet, and that also leaked with that song, and I was hoping that Bag would make it. Bag is like the only song that's a leak that I've like played ever consistently, other than like Pissy Pamper. But Bag was like a fantastic banger, and it didn't make it on here, but Pretty Mommy did. Anyway, I think it was a pretty good track. Set list. I think it definitely should have been shorter. I think it's around the same length as Love is Rage 1, but it's not nearly as, I don't know, perfect as Love is Rage 1. The Booty Tape, I don't want to say it's dead on arrival, but it I don't think it was the best project that Ugly God could have put out. I think he went like from halfway to committing towards putting out a um a comedic album and then a serious album. Cause you listen to No Lies and like you could tell he really wanted to put like a thoughtful album out there. But then you look into like almost everything. It's like No Lies like the lead. I think it's like the lead single that obviously wasn't already out there. Like Water is already out there. But I remember that being like the first song I saw from this project on YouTube, and it was the only song when you listen to this that's really like serious. And it's really weird that the direction you want to take with this. But yeah, I don't know. It's very funny. It's definitely very funny. Like you listen to Stop Smoking Black and Milds. You listen to Fuck Ugly God, LDC. It's a lot of like legit good but comedic songs here. And unfortunately, I feel like comedic hip hop like kind of died out towards the end of this decade. If he made this like in 2012 or 13, it probably one of the biggest albums of that year. But unfortunately, the guy just came at the wrong time. And then he himself, like, just I don't think he ever knew what direction he wanted to take his music, and that kind of flamed out for him. But It's unfortunate for him. Milk, one of the more underrated tapes of the year, I feel like. Produced by Icy Twat of, I believe, DB dollar sign B fame. Divine Council is the group name, but like this is the only tape I know of that they came out with that like did any traction. Anyway, he produced his whole joint. It's very reminiscent of like I don't want to say Clan's Casino, but like that's what it reminded me of, and then the art reminds me of that too. But like kind of like a black Clan's Casino. I guess it's kind of like marginalizing his talent, but he's like a great producer. And he tries to he raps over a lot of these beats. It's kind of like it reminds me of TLOP4 where Pierre like had these beats and he produced them, but he's like nobody can do these better than me, so let me just rap on them. So for the most part, he does his own like lyrics on this tape. He features other Divine Council artists, but some of the standouts like Z4 Music, Don Juan was pretty good. He does the hooks on. I think he does a hook on Don Juan, and Flogging. That was him by himself, and then Kyoshin on the vocals for. I believe it was Fuck that I really liked quite a bit. I liked Finn too. That's pretty short. It's a really good tape. It's like an EP more than a tape, but it's really good. You know, Thought Breaker. Listen, Can You Be My Friend and My Baby? Also SoCal and Drinkhead. This is a really good album by Chief Keef. I think around 2016ish or so, Keef started coming out. Well, actually 2015ish with Bang 3. He started coming out with more studio projects, and they were less compromising in being studio projects of some of his previous, like 2014, fresh out of relevance type of projects. And I think Keith understood that, he was a lazy motherfucker. And when you're lazy, you can't make good albums. And a lot of these tapes he's came out with the past couple years have been, I feel like, very, passionate. He's put love into them. And Thoughtbreaker's supposed to come out, I believe, 3 years before it did. It's supposed to come out when, the Dottie song. I forgot the name of it, but the Dottie song, back in the day. And I don't know how he put that out for 3 years, but he did. Anyway, to close out this video, we got Playboy Carti, the breakout mixtape for long revered Golden Boy, Playboy Carti. Awful Records former, Og Records. I think he signed the ASAP group pretty much, in essence. Ian Connor, son, Playboy Carti. Yo, this man's got so many handshakes, dap ups, connections in the industry. It's weird, but he put in. I feel like his rise is different, like many like plants, where like he actually put time into making an original gimmick, and a lot of artists didn't make original gimmicks. And you can say like it's influenced by like Thugger and Uzi to some degree, but it's still like it feels original when it's coming from Carti. You can have something like I don't know, like lame niggas, where like he's literally like I don't. It's hard because it's like almost R&B sometimes. Like the hooks he gives you, the voice he goes with some of these, you know, performances. But then like you get like the song we talked about smoking Space Ghost Perp's cousin in a blunt, and then it's like he just switch it up. Like he can go from location to something smooth and kick back to Magnolia where it's up tempo, huddle offense. And he just his change ups in this project is just what makes it as great as it is. I think Playboy Carti self-titled was one of the most, if not the most interesting project that came out that year. Just because it's like you didn't hear anything else like it, and I still don't know if you've heard anything like it to this day. Anyway, that's it for this video. And I'm gonna cut it up because the length I know is awful. But hope y'all enjoy the video. And I'll see y'all in 2018.